Ace, what would be your tip? What would be your tip to artists, business owners, brand owners, go-getters, people that want to control their lives and how it works? What would be your advice to them on how to make the most out of the Instagram algorithms at the moment?
I would definitely say, like, just come up with like a budget that you're happy with and that you're comfortable with, like, daily. Do you know what I mean? So obviously, like, I think it was probably like 2 years ago or a year ago now, like when Gary Vee was talking about having like $1.80 or probably like the equivalent of like maybe like £1.80 today in like advertised spend that you use every day, right? It doesn't have to be a lot, but like that is potentially, you know, like around £40 a month or something that you put into your ads, you know? So I think you need to come up with like an ad budget that you're comfortable with, that you can invest like either every day, every week, or wherever you drop content, and then use the ads, you know, because the ads are beneficial and the ads are targeted to get you the results that you want. I didn't know too much about like the whole engagement group and banning thing, like what Kairo was talking about. So that's something new that I learned. But I would have said maybe, you know, try and join some engagement groups. That's probably what I would have said before. But if it's gonna like mess up your data, then maybe not, you know, like just come up with the whole budget, you know, to what you're comfortable with, and then start dabbling in Instagram ads, start dabbling in Facebook ads, etc., and then just start learning the ins and outs of it. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I would say. And I would say, like, just focus more on creating content. Like, don't worry too much about, like, you know, like the quality of the content and whether it's 4K and whether it's this and whether it's that. Like, just focus on putting content out there. You know, as long as your content has gems in it and as long as your content is valuable, then you're winning. Do you know what I mean? Because people follow you for the value necessarily. Do you know what I mean? So it's not all about, you know, what edits you have and what crazy things you got in the background and all this type of stuff. Just focus on putting content out there.
Thank you.
Virtual real estate, do you know what I mean? Virtual real estate. The more videos you got on YouTube and stuff, like the more that the videos are going to monetize, the more money over time that you're going to have, etc., the more value that you're going to provide. It's like virtual real estate, you know. So you just want to just keep putting out videos as much as possible and content as much as possible. Still think smartly about what you're putting out, but don't worry too much about the edits and the crazy production. Do you know what I mean?
Good points, Ace. Good points, Ace. Thank you. Fespri, if you could just sum up a point or a technique or a tip that you would give to my audience.
What has just been said is pretty much where I would first go to. Get yourself some flipping content, because most people that are asking questions about growing, they ain't got nothing to put out to grow in the first place. And it's the primary reason why they're not growing at all, is because there's nothing out. So that would definitely be the first. And then exactly like he said, learn the platform at the end of the day. Instead of just complaining that they're trying to make you pay for ads, start paying for the ads if you want to use the platform. Either use something different or start paying for the ads. It does not have to be much. Like Ace said, like anywhere, if you got £50 a month that you can consistently put down, just do it, because it's all about consistency over the long term with these platforms. They will learn who your ideal follower is, who your ideal watcher is, and they will bring them to you. All you've got to do is provide the consistent content and make sure that you're there consistently. That's the primary thing. So yeah, consistent content and run ads. Even if you don't have much money to do it, run ads, whatever you can afford. That would be what I would say.
And to add, as I said, you know, just jump on other platforms. You know, if you don't know about TikTok, which I didn't know about, but I jumped on it and I'm starting to learn it. Do you know what I mean? But don't be scared to jump on new platforms, because it's all about being omnipresent. And then at least people can see your Instagram link or whatever on these different platforms that you jump on, and then they can then click onto that link and give you a follow and interact with you. Not only that, but like if you kind of like with my Snapchat, I made a Snapchat just to send out links, you know. So whenever I dropped a YouTube video, I didn't really want to spam my Instagram like that. So I made a Snapchat account for that. And I just built up like a whole, you know, bunch of Snapchat names that I added them, and then I just went around sending people stuff on Snapchat, you know, because you can't really like spam like Snapchat as such, you know what I mean? Because Snapchat isn't really much to do with your branding, if that makes sense. So I put it on Snapchat, sent it around to everybody there, and that way it wasn't interfering with. Yeah, so I was talking about Snapchat, sorry, before the live, you know, like the Zoom call cut, but I was talking about Snapchat, right? So I made like a Snapchat account to send all of my new YouTube videos that drop to everybody on Snap. So that way, like, I'm not bombarding like my branding on the other channels. And that actually helped. I found that helped a lot. But that's the power of being omnipresent. If it wasn't for me creating that Snapchat account, then I wouldn't have had that technique. Do you know what I mean? So it's important to be on more than one platform. And I didn't know nothing about TikTok, as I mentioned, but jumping on it, you know, I started to understand it. So people shouldn't be scared on you know, on what apps they should jump on. They should just delve straight into it. Do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, we don't want to miss this crucial time, because eventually TikTok's going to come to a time where it's going to operate just like Instagram and Facebook. Do you know what I mean? So we want to jump in it now while it's still like organic before it's too late.
Super. So to kind of summarize both of your points here, you both come up with some tremendous points and some tremendous tips. Obviously, Kairo has leaned towards users basically making content. Yeah, and he reaffirmed that based on what you said, Ace, which is fantastic. And then you went on to talk about, you know, experimenting with, you know, different social media sites and being omnipresent and just seeing what works for you. And all of these are amazing points. Me personally, I've come from a visual arts, yeah, that's where I come from, the visual arts sector. My tips to people is not necessarily what Kairo and Ace have said, but it is how you are telling your stories and what stories you are telling. Every story has an audience. And the main thing that I'm finding, the best stories speak to the most specific audience that they can possibly find. So an example I'm going to use is a guy called Tim Ferriss, who wrote The 4-Hour Work Week, which is a book that I really would recommend for anyone seeking to reduce their work hours. Like I said, it's got the book. I think Kairo might have read it as well. I'm not too sure. But in that, he basically said he's writing it to his mates. He said he was writing this book to his mates, and there was 2 specific mates. So the tone reflected how he would talk to his mates. You know, the type of words, the length, you know, the amount of paragraphs, how short or how long the chapters were. So, you know, applying that philosophy and that ideology and principle to something like social networks and Instagram to be able to make the algorithms work with you, I would suggest direct it to as niche an audience as you possibly can. And it will give you clarity in terms of your tone of voice and how you're speaking, because that's my job to do every single day with the brands and artists I work with, is understanding their voice and their tone. And it benefits because if you talk to somebody that's not their audience, you don't get the business result that you want. I think that brings it to a conclusion, guys. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, just to add, in what you just said, like everything that everybody said here is all different sides of the same coin. They're all elements which you can use all of them in order to get the best results. Like, you know, the platforms is simply being somewhere. You know, how you tell your story on each one is literally the message that you're giving off. The only thing that I would know is with the storytelling, I would caution artists not to try and do that type of thing too early. Because one of the issues that artists have is that they think they know who it is that wants to listen to their music. They assume that it's just sort of people like them, and it's often not. And so with artists, where it's hard to know who that audience is that you are talking to, I would just say, hold your horses on that part. Artists' main problem that I see is that they just haven't put themselves out there enough. So if you're an artist and you don't know exactly who your fan base are, all you got to worry about is get everywhere. If you're on 10 platforms, there's 10 opportunities for you to blow up tomorrow. Whereas if you're on one, there's 1 opportunity for you to blow up tomorrow. So I would just say good content on as many platforms as you can handle in a proper way. Like, don't just open them and you're never going to go back onto the app. You know, there's no point downloading TikTok and letting it just sit there. You have to use it. But yes, and then once you've identified who it is that you're speaking to, at that point, everybody should be trying to tell better stories, because then that's all it comes down to. That's all that's left, isn't it? It's just getting people to connect with you via story. But yeah, I would say everybody, everything that we've all touched on separately, I just feel like really people should take all of it. You shouldn't choose between any of it. You should try to take all of it. Yeah, that's it.
You made some great points, kind of helping artists to basically just do something and be everywhere. You know, I think the overbearing theme is be everywhere you can and do all you can. I think that's the overbearing thing. Now, that actually leads me into another theme and subject, which is on mental health. What is the limitations that you can set to keep your mental health in its optimum form, to be able to perform well on a day-to-day with your loved ones and also achieve the business results you want. Now, unfortunately for you guys, we're not going to get into this conversation unless you want us to. So if you want to hear about how to deal with your mental health, coming from the point of view of, I know in this circle that quite a few people have dealt with mental health issues as a result of the stresses of life and business that we do. If you guys want to have practical tips to help you manage your mental health, even if you're not yet in a position where mental health is an issue, but if you want to have preventative measures to be able to stop things like that happening in your futures and whatever you're doing, let us know. We can get into a talk about it, because we haven't all got here by chance. It's been with a purpose, and it's been with learning and developing. And mental health is one of the main issues that has come up along the way, and we have all found ways to manage it. Now, we're still not perfect, and some of us, are still, going through certain things, but we are better than we were. I've been in this for 10 years. Kairo's been in the music scene for around 10 years. I know Ace, I met him some time ago, and I know he's been doing this thing for a long while as well. Let us know. Let us know. Any other comments, guys?
Not without starting some mad, something mad that we.
Yeah, do you have what? It's better to just. Yeah, I'm just trying to hold back, because I was going to go for ages. I said no.
There's a lot I can say about this. There's a lot I can say about this matter as well, But as you said, that's for another video.
Yeah, wicked.
I did want to drop at least one point if I can. I don't know.
Okay, go for it. That's it. Give him a little teaser.
Yeah, so obviously, the point is, on your iPhone, I'm not too sure if you can do this on Android phone, but on iPhone, there's something called screen time, right? And you can limit the amount of time that you spend on each app individually. So that's what I've got. So you can set a certain duration of time, and then when you're on the app, it will pop up, and it'll be like, you've been on the app for this long. You can either click OK and it takes you straight out, or you can click ignore, and then it tells you how long you want to ignore it for, either 15 minutes, half an hour, or just ignore for today. Now, a lot of people easily just click on ignore for today. I know I do that all the time, but at least when you hit the limit. And then you also have a chart, and then the chart tells you how much you've been using social media in comparison to yesterday or the day before or last week, etc., etc. So you can start to see your habits, and you can start to see what you spend most time on, etc., etc. And that data is enough to tell you, what you're spending the most time on and how to stop spending so much time on those certain apps. But if you didn't have that screen time, you wouldn't know. So screen time is available for everyone that has an iPhone. So go into settings, just type in screen time on the search, and it should pop up. And you'll be surprised. You'll be so surprised how much time you spend on your phone. And it tells you your pickup rate as well. So how much time do you actually pick up your phone, and how much time do you click on this app and click on the app. You'll be surprised, man. Very surprised.
Fantastic. Ace, you've given them way too much, but there you go. We're here to give to you guys, and we're gonna do it unashamedly. So take it in, enjoy. I hope you guys had a great time in talks. Remember what we're here for. We're here to give people that want to do anything they want with the time that they have, the opportunities to. We're here to develop together. Nobody is better or worse than anyone. Everybody's different, and we're here to make the most out of our differences. This is what Talks is about, and we believe in us, so we believe in you. Thank you, Kairo from Fespri, again for another talk. You've been such a great pleasure to have, as always. Ace, thank you as well for coming on. This is a different dynamic, and we really did appreciate your differences and opinions, and also, the practical steps that you gave to us. We do thank you. That is the end of Talks, guys. We've talked the talk. Now you guys go and talk the talk in the comments. Let us know and get involved. Signing out.
Peace and love.